I was a token white dude here in Toronto, and I grew up with Jamaicans. And when we came to Canada during the war, I went to an all white area, and I experienced a lot of prejudice for being Serbian, and that kids didn't know because you'd see it on the news. And like, there's always some demonized group on the news. At the time, it was the Serbs, because the Serbian leader did this and that, and now we see it with other groups.
Yeah.
But like at the time, they're like, go back to your shitty genocidal country. Like white kids were like that. And then I was just like crying every day, coming home, getting bullied, and then I went to the hood. I don't know if we have real hoods in Canada. We have certain, lower class neighborhoods, but I was the token white kid, and Jamaican kids were like, fucking white boy. So I always had 1 foot in, 1 foot out with different groups, but I also had friends in every group. So I was like navigating being kind of like a little bit of a pariah, like an outcast. And then I get a full Division I scholarship to an HBCU, and I played AU, so I'd go all over the States, but I'd never like lived. And Southside Chicago, Chirac, murder capital of the U.S. at that time. And basically on my official visit, somebody got shot in the parking lot of the motel.
Oh, wow.
And I made my parents get on the ground. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, someone got shot in the parking lot. Get down. It's just like, that's how it started.
Yeah.
And then I ended up going there. And honestly, it was one of the best experiences of my life. So Southside Chicago is so segregated that, you have 60 square miles where you pretty much don't see a white person.
Wow.
And if you do, it's like, what are you doing here?
They're the odd one out. That's very interesting, right?
So I'm like 6'9", and I came there, and I was just like, everybody was so friendly because everyone was so grateful to go to college because they're like the only ones in their family. We talk about redlining, African American communities and racism within America. It's like compartmentalized, and people, it's really hard to get out of the hood because it's like 3 of your brothers are gang members. That's the only way you can kind of really survive, unless you want to work 12 hours a day at a McDonald's or a Popeyes. And your mom's probably working 3 jobs, and she can't take care of, multiple kids. And, the school system's lacking. Everybody's just like, you're dropping out. And then when somebody comes along like, yo, kid, you want to make a stack in like a day? Go deliver this for me. And then you become inaugurated into a gang. So it's like, that's an easier way out than like trying to navigate like a shitty school system where, I'm sure this teachers in those high schools are trying to help kids, but it's
they don't have the resources.
They don't have the resources. So they're like navigating. And I was like, I assessed all this because I studied also politics and history and all that as minors. But I was just like, damn. And then I'd walk down the street and people be like, look, mom, like a white person.
Yeah.
So I was like walking down the street, and then one time I was talking to this girl my first 2 weeks at school.
Right.
And she's like, you're the first white person I ever had a conversation with in my life. I'm like, how is that possible? Like, you live in the United States of America, Chicago of all places. She's like, I go shopping, I go downtown, and like sometimes white people sell me stuff and I say thank you, but it's never been more than a 5-second conversation.
That's crazy.
For me, growing up in Toronto, it's like, it's inconceivable because we're just
multicultural.
We're like
melting pot,
a melting pot. And then like there'd be different cliques, just like any university. So in our cafeteria, we had the black nationalists and like the black Israelites, and they were just there with a megaphone in the cafeteria. They're like, burn the white man. Round them all up, put them on an island, and drop a nuclear bomb on them.
Oh my god!
And have to walk. I was like roided up, shaved head. I looked like John Cena, and I'd be like, preach. Yeah. And they'd be
the
like,
most stereotypical, like
And they're like, what? Yeah. And then I'd be sitting with one of them, and I sat with it, and he's sitting alone, right? And I'm eating a salad. I'm like consuming mad food because it's twice this size.
Right.
And I'm just like, what's good, bro? And he's like, oh, nothing, just like preaching the word. I'm like, oh, what's the word? He's like, like what the white man. I'm like, I get it. White people have enslaved half the world, colonialism, the UK, Anglo-Saxon involvement, all that stuff, really bad slavery. You've lost your identity. I 100% get it.
Yeah.
And he's like, what's your name? I'm like, Nem. He's like, what? I'm like, Nem. He's like, what? I'm like, Nem. He's like, what's that? I'm like, it's short for Nemanja. And he's like, what? I'm like, that's my name. He's like, I ain't never heard that. I'm like, it's because I'm Serbian. He's like, what's that? I'm like, it's like a group, it's like a race of people in Southeast Europe. It's like, and we were also enslaved in our own country for 400 years under the Ottoman Empire. And he's like, what? And I'm like, my skin is white, but I'm not white. And he's like, what?
Yeah, there's a lot of research to do.
Your name's not Bob?
And then I started chilling with this dude randomly with a line. Like lunchtime was the same.
Yeah.
And he left the group within like a month of like just having lunch with me. And we just talk. I'm like, race isn't identified just by skin. You have bone density of different genetics. And like, people, like a Ethiopian person is not the same as a Ghanaian person. Like completely different races.
Yeah.
And like Somalian people, like different builds, bodies. We have multiple things going on aside from our skin color. But the most important thing is just, be a good person and love each other.